Welcome to your Get That Nugget for GCSE English Literature. Today we'll be focusing on using the framework that we looked at in the last session to answer all the poetry questions. This session is meant to complement your lessons with your teachers and not to replace them in any way. So in the last nugget we looked at the list structure and how we could use that to unpick poems. I just want to remind you of that before we start. So language, what types of words are being used, any specific and interesting words, are there groups of words that are linked by a theme, that's the semantic field. What metaphors, similes, alliteration, personification, etc. can you find in the poem and what does that do? How does the structure affect the poem? Is there punctuation? Is there lots of punctuation? Is there no punctuation? Is there a rhyme scheme? Who is the narrator? And then what is the big idea? What is the poem all about ultimately? They are your 4 distinct paragraphs. You will need an introduction and a conclusion, and we'll look at how to write those in a later session. So what we need to do is we have our poem. The poem we are looking at today is called Island Man. And the question is, how does the poet present ideas about place? So we already know that one of the big themes in the poem is going to be place. As we've talked about before, the first thing we're going to do is look at who is talking, what is the tone, and what is happening. So, morning, and Island Man wakes up to the sound of blue surf in his head, the steady breaking and booming. Wild seabirds and fishermen pushing out to sea, the sun surfacing defiantly from the east of his small emerald island. He always comes back groggily, groggily. Comes back to sands of a grey metallic saw, to surge of wheels, to dull north circular roar. Muffling, muffling, his crumpled pillow waves, Island Man heaves himself, another London day. So when we ask the question, who is talking? Already we know it is someone talking about the Island Man, so it is in the third person. The tone of the poem. There is something comforting, something homely, something natural about the first half of the poem. And then in the second half of the poem, we have the less comforting, we have the slightly grating. It is not natural, it is man-made, it is unpleasant. What is happening? Well, essentially, the poem is about the process of him waking up, which means that in his dreams, he is in a place where he is comforted and it feels natural. And when he wakes up, he recognises where he is. Okay? So again, we have a poem that is relatively simple if we break it down in the right way and if we are looking for the right things. So the next thing we need to do is look at how we're going to unpick this in terms of list. So we are focusing on language, imagery, structure, and theme. So if we think about the language that is used, we have blue surf, breaking and booming, wild seabirds, sun, emerald island, sea. So we have the semantic field of nature. We have a semantic field which suggests almost a paradise, that suggests something calm and peaceful and natural. And you could pick any of those quotations. You could look at the fact that he uses the words blue and green. So there is colour in that world. He dreams in colour. And we know that later on he lives in black and white and grey. Imagery wise, you have the surge of wheels, the grey metallic saw. You have the idea that he is groggy, that the sun surfaces defiantly, or you have the steady breaking and whooming of the waves. We're going to focus on that one because whooming is a metaphor essentially. And the metaphor links to the idea of being cared for, being looked after. This idea maybe that the island is like his mother, because we link the idea of whooming to womb, to baby, to care. Structurally, we can see that there is almost no punctuation. In fact, there is no punctuation. And if we have no punctuation in a poem, it would tend to suggest that things are continuous, that things are ongoing, which suggests that this is a process that he goes through every morning, which suggests that his life is almost on this cycle of dreaming about where he's come from and realising where he is. And then the theme essentially comes down to the fact that he seems to miss the island. He is referred to as Island Man. That is where he would like to be, and it is only when he wakes up that he realises he is in another London day. The fact that he has to heave himself, that suggests effort. Suggests that he doesn't want to be there. Therefore suggesting that in terms of place, the Island Man misses his island, doesn't enjoy London. Okay, so if we look at what we've got for that, we have the semantic field of nature or paradise, the fact that he uses colours when he describes the island and there is no colour in the world in London. The use of whooming to describe the sea, that idea of safety, that idea of comforting, that idea of mothering, where you are born, where you come from. The fact that there is no punctuation suggests that this is a constant cycle, and every night he dreams of his island where he would like to be and wakes up to the realisation that he is back in London, another London day. That suggests that he misses his island, because all the time we are looking at what these quotations mean. And then we come to the big theme, this idea that he doesn't want to be there, that it is an effort to get out of bed, it is an effort to leave his dreams, it is an effort to embark on another London day. But luckily, because of the cyclical structure of the poem, he returns every night in his dreams. So, Again, we have no context. We are not looking at context. We are just looking at the words in front of us. We now have an essay plan. For this question, you would be looking to answer it in about half an hour. With that as 10 minutes of planning, you've then still got 20 minutes to write, and once you know what you're writing, you can do that in that 20 minutes. It is worth taking the time to plan this before you start writing. Using what we've looked at, how does the Isle of Man feel about London? Use a quotation to support your idea. Focus on either language or imagery.